Alright, today I want to talk to you about section 11.7 called line graphs. And we're going to continue our discussion into data. And recall that data is really the represent the numerical representation of information. The problem is if we have too much information, it's very hard for us to sort through it with our brains and really understand what's going on. So they invented a couple of ways that we can take that data and sort it and turn it into pretty pictures. And our brains are much better at looking at pictures and determining what's going on rather than a big block of numbers. So we're going to look at a second way to sort that data, and we're going to be looking and focusing on line graphs today. Pen isn't super great. It's disappointing. That's a new one, too. Now, line graphs are used to sort two different particular variables against each other. Usually we sort an independent variable, independent, versus a dependent variable, dependent variable. An independent variable means that pretty much no matter what, that variable is going to continue changing. It's not really beholden to anything. It kind of does what it wants. And it kind of continues going. And the one that we usually use for an independent variable is time. Because time stands for no one and it continues going unrelated to anything. Our dependent variable relates to our independent variable. Relates to our independent variable. As time continues to march on, this other one will change based on that time. And that allows us to use a line graph. And that's usually what we look at when we're looking at a line graph. It usually shows, not always, but usually, shows changes over time. Let's look at an example. If I gave you some data here about tree growth, let's say we have our little T-chart. We're going to call this our year, and we're going to call this the diameter of the tree. Not diameter, height, sorry. We'll start at year 2003. Its height is 2. And this is in feet. Always got to get those units. 2004. Our height is 2.5. 2005. 3.5. 2006. 8.5. And 2007, 14. Now we can see that if I were to label my variables, this would be my independent and my dependent. Because as my years continue going on, usually I can tell my independent because they change with regularity, and I can usually tell that they're slowly changing. And my dependent typically doesn't have as clear of a pattern, and it might be a little bit more blocky and unclear. My independent I usually put on the bottom of my graph, so in this case I will do exactly that. Oops, man, my lines are terrible, even when I have a blue line to lead me along. So I'm going to put my 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, and 2007. Now I need to decide how I want to sort this. I could probably start around 2 and I want to get to 14 or 15. So let's see, if I I might start at 0 just because I kind of like starting at 0 and it's almost 2. So if I did what, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. All right, we could do threes. Do 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So this time, instead of building bar graphs at each point, I'm just going to put a dot for now. 2003 is 2. It's going to be about right here. 2004 is 2.5. It's going to be right here, almost 3. 2005 is 3.5. It's going to be right here. 2006 is 8.5. It's going to be right here. And 2007 is 14, which is going to be just below this. Now what I can do is I join and connect those lines so that I can kind of see as it's going. I'm going to use my handy dandy little ruler over here, which kind of makes my lines a little bit cleaner and nicer. Notice that I do each segment separately because the kind of curvature will often change between them. There we go, I've got my line graph. I can see that it was kind of started slow. Looks like it had a good year, and that good year kind of continued onward. There was some positive change here, though, because I can tell because the slope is going up and not going down. If my slope was going down, that would be very confusing because trees don't often shrink unless it's like they cut or something or got struck by lightning, but that could definitely be happening. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking a line graph that they build for you, and you're just going to be answering some questions about it, and in the following chapter you're going to be building your own. So go ahead and good luck.